Hi, this session is about you, the entrepreneur. I call it betting on the jockey. Many investors, particularly venture capitalists, say we like to bet on the jockey and not the horse. You're the jockey, you're the CEO, and the horse is your company. And the product or the service and you, the jockey, have to ride that horse to success. And investors are worried, rightfully so, about the jockey because the success rate of jockeys is not good compared to horses. Let's take a look at Shepherd Ventures. We had 18 companies that we invested in. 6 of them were failures. And none of those failed due to products. They all failed because of the CEO. Another clue, we had to replace many CEOs. Another clue is from Deal Scrubber, which I talked to you about earlier. That's the 92 question expert system, which I built after talking to successful VCs. These are not my questions. These are questions that successful VCs use in determining, it's a rule of thumb that they use to determine whether they're going to make an investment or not. These are often secret or unasked questions. And about 30% of those questions deal with the CEO, and only 10% of those questions deal with the horse, that is, the company or the product. And so there's a 3-to-1 ratio of concern about the jockey over the horse among these successful VCs. And a common theme of Deal Scrubber about the CEO is, can we trust the CEO? One of my favorite questions is, can I trust the CEO with my children? This is a question that I would think, but I'm not going to ask you in a presentation. And it's unfair because I think of the question and I answer it without ever talking to you. I may conclude that I can't trust you, and therefore I'm not going to make an investment. It has nothing to do with the horse, nothing to do with your product. There's a book, a famous book by Moore called Crossing the Chasm, where he talks about, and he actually uses the analogy of a horse and jockey, where he talks about CEOs that are of a certain type that are good for startups. Say they can get their company through product development into production, and they're good for maybe a revenue of $5 million. But at some point, there's a chasm that Moore talks about. That's the name of his book, Crossing the Chasm, where this startup jockey can't jump the chasm with his horse and move on to, 10, 50, or $100 million in revenue. So it's a rare jockey that can do this. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates are good examples, but they are the exception, not the rule. And so one of the issues that an investor may have, and he'll ask you about, is, what if we get to this chasm and you can't cross it? And the correct answer is, I want what's best for the company. If the VC senses that you as the jockey are determined to stay on the horse no matter what, that could be a problem. And if you remember, I talked to you about these 1,000 companies that we looked at in another session, where we determined the success or failure of these VC companies that were VC invested. And what we found is very surprising, and that is that of the horses that started at the time of investment, they started at the beginning of the race, and those that finished the race, 95% of those products or services were different. The horses during the race had morphed. Started out as a black stallion, and then on the second lap it turned into a zebra, and then on the last lap it was a palomino. And so the product or service has to morph, and a bad jockey can't stay on the horse. As the horse morphs, that jockey will fall off the horse. And so I would rather have an A jockey with a B horse